From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello and welcome to Around Foxborough, the show where we talk about the people, places, and things that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. My name is Marc Rivard, and I'm pleased to have as my guest today, Alisha Gee, who is joining us from all the way in Arizona. Hi, Alisha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. So tell us a little bit about your story. I know you work with people who have gone through sexual abuse, and I'm sure you have a story to tell.
Yes. So thank you for having me on, and I would love to share a little bit just about where I've been since I started my own company, working with these women who've gone through abuse. But it really started back where I actually had an amazing childhood. I grew up in China, traveling the world, got to meet a lot of new people. But where things started to really shift for me was when I actually moved back here to the States, and Colorado was home for us. So we moved back home, and one of my family members started to treat me differently. It started to be games. It started just to be more and more sexual. And as I realized that deep down, I always knew that it wasn't okay. I knew that there was something off. I knew that he started to treat me differently. But, at that point, there was all those tactics of manipulation of, this is what you do with family members. No one will believe you anyways. It's no big deal, all of those things. So it actually ended up, turning into molestation for 2 years. And in those 2 years, I did try to tell people. I tried to tell my twin brother. I tried to tell some of my best friends, but I really never could get those words out because I actually had never even heard of what sexual abuse was. No one had mentioned it to me, so I didn't even know what was going on. So it was really a lot of confusion and a lot of shame and guilt because at some point I started to feel like it was my fault. But when I was 11 or 13 years old, my mom had come to me and she said, "Hey, I actually heard what was going on. I want to hear your side of the story. What happened?" And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my office chair in my room and I was spinning around in circles because I was so nervous and I was excited that someone finally knew, but I also didn't know exactly what to say. So I told her what little I could. And after that, she looked at me and she said, "Alisha, it takes two." And so in that moment, it really reaffirmed that it was my fault, that I should have done something. I should have said no, all of those things. And so I lived my life with the shame and guilt for probably about 16 years. And during that time, I started partying, drinking, doing stuff with other guys. And it wasn't really until I started working with girls who'd gone through sex trafficking after college that someone finally took a stand for me, a huge stand for me. My now fiance had mentioned, he just said, "Hey, look, Alisha, you can't help these girls until you help yourself." Because I was coming home exhausted, complaining. He took that stand for me. And since then, I've just taken that step to show up for myself powerfully. And then, of course, when I did that, I was like, I absolutely want to support others doing the same. So I opened up my own company and now we're here. So.
Yeah, and it happens to a lot of kids and they don't know it's wrong because it's an authority figure, an adult that's doing this. And they feel like they've done something wrong, but really they haven't done anything wrong. It's the adult.
Yes.
And I can understand how you would feel shame thinking that it was your fault when in actuality it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 1 out of 4 girls, 1 out of 6 boys. But the truth is, it's like those numbers are probably even higher because only like 67% of people even share their stories. And usually like a high number of those are people who don't get treated the right way or the way that they need to as far as being believed. And so it's usually shoved off even when you finally build up your courage to share. Oftentimes it's not always met with people who understand what to do about it.
So I'm sure, Alisha, a lot of people have to go through therapy after some experience like that. They may never get over it, but they try. I mean, did you have to go through anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I went through therapy for about a year when I was a child. I think I was really supportive. It really taught me how to realize it wasn't my fault, because a lot of the things I was saying was like we, and she's like, it wasn't you at all. So that was really supportive. I think where we get to continue to grow and to heal is to have a time where you're not just talking about your past. I think there's a time to talk about the past, time to heal, and then show up powerfully in your life forward. And I think sometimes my experience as far as counseling was that I was stuck past, not moving forward. So yeah, therapy is a really amazing tool, and just finally having someone believe you is really powerful.
So Alisha, tell us about We Lift to Rise. What is that all about?
Yeah, so we lift each other up to rise. I don't think that any of us are meant to do life on their own. And so when I started my company, I was just thinking of different, and I know that I felt really alone for many years after going through abuse. I never wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to share it with anybody. But when I finally started to show up for myself, one of the things I used was fitness. So We Lift to Rise is also a spin-off on how to show up for yourself physically as well, and use fitness to fight for yourself. And so then it really evolved into more of a coaching and a performance coaching program than just fitness.
So fitness, physical and mental at the same time, basically.
Exactly. They are all tied together.
That's great. No, I like that. It's awesome. So I also read that you're offering a course called Abused Is Not My Name. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm not running that course right now, particularly. Okay. I'm doing more of group coaching and one-on-one coaching. And it's really like my method, and it's the same as Abused Is Not My Name, is just realizing that it's not our name. And oftentimes after abuse, like it feels like it's gonna be with us forever, and that we're never gonna get through it. And really, like through my coaching, and what I really like to support women in is like, we don't just also have to be okay after abuse. I think so often we're trying to just survive, and really like we get to thrive. Like we really get to have the life of our dreams. And going through something like that has actually made us stronger, not broken, not weak. Whatever society has said to you, or maybe a friend or a family member has said to you, it's just not true. Like when you've gone through painful past experiences, whether it's abuse or something else, and we've all gone through something in our lives that has been painful. And when we realize like that's actually our strength and turn that around, we're able to show up really powerfully. I would never have been able to open a coaching company if I didn't realize that myself. So like I'm living proof that actually like our most painful experiences can also turn into our biggest strengths.
So how long do these coaching sessions last? Is it as long as they need the coaching, or until they feel that they can move forward? Or is it just a certain, just a little more clarity? Because it sounds great, and I just wanted to, let everybody know exactly what it takes here,
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So it's usually a year-long program, because really like, we can see a lot of success in the first few months. And I know some of my coaching girls, and they're like, we've already accomplished everything in 3 months. I think we're done with the program. And I'm like, actually, wait, we still get to keep going, because it takes time to have like a lasting result, right? Because we can show up really powerfully for a month, 2 months, 3 months. But life does happen, and also triggers come up and different things come up. And so it's really powerful to be part of this community that I've created for a year, so that you can actually, what we do is we go through like our vision, like what we want to create in life. And then we go through a breakthrough, like, okay, what's in our way? What's stopping us? What's still coming up? What triggers are still coming up? And then we turn into like practice, which practice is just like implementing the things that we've learned. So whether that's, creating a new business for yourself, whether that's getting out of or getting into a new relationship, or whatever it is that you want to create, then we actually start implementing them, and then we walk through those steps.
That must be one of the most difficult parts, is that getting into another relationship after you've been through something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that one of the most common issues that women have?
Yes, it's really common, because we have a tendency just to like think that it's always going to be a certain way, since it has happened to us in the past. And so looking forward to the future, it's like, well, what if he does this? What if he does that? this is what happened in the past, and assuming that everyone is going to hurt you is really, really common. But the thing is, like, when you show up for yourself and when you have this healing and freedom, you are completely different and you're attracting different people. And so the truth is, like, when you realize, like, to take responsibility for your life, show up in a program like this or some kind of support, and it's really like breaking through the chains of abuse. Like, it's that serious. Like, you get to break through that. And then you attract different people. So I always tell people, like, yeah, it's not going to look anything like the past because you're a different person. You're attracting different people into your life.
I see. So you said there's also group sessions. So is it more of like, I don't want to use this as an example, but like an Alcoholics Anonymous, where people get together and they tell their stories. They don't say they may say their first names, and everybody gets to hear the different stories and relate and figure out, what went wrong and how we can move forward.
Yeah,
Something
absolutely.
like that.
I think it's really powerful to have that community exactly share. But the thing is, we don't always share about the past. Like in therapy and in Alcohol Anonymous, all those, it's like talking about the past. And then I think you get to a point where you're just like, okay, great, that happened. What's next? And so, like, in my coaching programs, like, we really focus on what's next. So a lot of my women have gone through therapy before, and now they're ready to take on the world, to take on what they want to create. So it's a little bit different in the sense that it's just really, like, things come up and we do share about, maybe some triggers that came up, but it's also in an atmosphere of, okay, this happened. And realizing that the triggers are actually a really amazing tool to realize there's still some things that we get to work on. And so it's a little bit different concept than just spilling everything out. And because sometimes that can be really harmful to, for one, the person sharing, rehash things all the time.
Right.
Two, people listening, it could be really triggering for them as well.
Right. Yeah. Initially you spill it, and then after that everybody talks about the positives and the steps and how they've moved forward, the steps they've done to accomplish what they've done, and everybody gets ideas and et cetera. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You need more positivity than just rehashing the stories, because you want to move past that. That's excellent. That's excellent.
You can get in a trap of just doing it all day. Yeah.
And you must have a lot of success stories where people have come back and said, hey, thank you very much. Your program helped. I'm doing this, et cetera. It must make you feel better too, knowing that you've helped others who have been in your situation.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
I think starting your own company is like the best thing you could do for yourself, because it's like therapy times 10 for yourself, because it brings up everything. And for me too, when I hear people's stories, I too, not relive my past anymore. In the beginning, yes, I think it was harder for me. Now I know that I can support these women. And so I focus on, how can I support them? What's next for them too, that it doesn't bring me back into that moment. But it is really amazing and powerful. And the success stories make it worth it. And I actually have coaches who started coaching because of my programs, because they're like, wait a second, I want to support women to do this too. And so I actually coach them on how to be a coach now too. And so that's been a really powerful new evolution of my business. Is like, there's other women becoming performance coaches for women who've gone through abuse. And it's amazing.
It's great. You tell two friends, they tell two friends, and so on and so on. We get it out there.
Exactly.
And plus you're your own boss too. So, you can take vacations when you want, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It is really amazing. I know everyone, it's like, you're your own boss, you can take more vacations, but oftentimes it's like, it's like one of those things where I get to realize that I too get to have vacations and do the things that I tell my clients to do, which is focus on yourself first. Like, I bought a horse this year because I really realized that I was going all in for everybody else in my company and my business, my clients. And I wasn't showing up for myself as much. And so I was like, hey, what do I love to do? How can I get back to my roots? And that was for me, owning a horse and riding and having that time with him. So we get to show up for ourselves too.
Well, that's the whole thing. You have to have a work-life balance.
Yes.
And if the horse is part of that balance, then I say, go and get the horse, go ride your horse and enjoy life, because you can't work, no work, all work and no play is what I was going to say, but No,
it's so true. And oftentimes, like, when we've gone through painful past experiences, whether it's abuse or not, and I always say whether it's abuse or not, because it's all valid. And sometimes we compare our stories, so there's no point in comparing. But when we go through that, oftentimes like we turn into martyrs, which means just like we like go help everybody else around us, and we stop focusing on ourselves. And that's one of the really huge signs of people have gone through abuse, is that they're nurses, they're counselors, or whatever else it is, and because they're like, let me go help everybody else. And the last point is like, oh wait, okay, I get to show up for myself. I get to go through the healing journey too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And good.
Yeah.
Well, this is the part of the show where we say, okay, Alisha, if people want information about your program, now you can give us all the information, website, email, go for it.
Awesome. Yes. So I am in transition. I don't have my website up right now.
Okay.
I switched my company over to We Live to Rise, and the underscore is stand up and stand out. So we're doing a little bit more different branding and everything to support more coaches turning into even better coaches, and business owners turning into even more powerful business owners when they stand up for themselves. So you can find me at Alisha _ We Live to Rise on Instagram, and Facebook just at Alisha Gee. And you can email me at weliftorise@gmail.com.
Great. Well, once again, thank you very much for sharing your story, Alisha, and also giving us the information about your company, because I think that can help a lot of women.
Yeah, thank
forward.
you so much for having me on.
Great. Well, that'll do it for Around Foxborough. My name is Marc Rivard. Have yourself a great day.